Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. Hey, if you liked the video, click that like button and click subscribe so that you'll get notifications whenever we post new content. Appreciate you watching. This is the Fat Man. I'm gone. Hey y'all, Fat Man Outdoors. Today I want to talk to y'all about some ammunition. In the last few years there's been a huge discussion on what is the best straight wall case for all around hunting, for deer hunting, bear hunting, hog hunting, all big game. What would be the best straight wall case? Well, to be honest, for years 4570 government has sat atop the throne when it comes to straight wall cases. There is some downplays, and we're going to go over that. But now there is another contender in the last few years that's come into the picture that it's kind of slipped into that niche, and it kind of cheated its way in to make itself a little bit stronger by one little innovation that the 4570 government doesn't have. So let's compare the 4570 government to 450 Bushmaster. Now what I've got here is a little cheat sheet, simply because I can't remember a lot of stuff. It's been hit in the head too many times, but my wife says she still loves me. But anyway, what we've got is I took a standard load, what I thought would be for both of them. That most people normally, if you go into the store, it's what you're going to find readily available. For the 4570 government, I chose the Hornady Lever Revolution 325 grain FTX. I love this bullet. It's great in a bolt action. It's great in a lever action. This thing is devastating downrange. However, the big downfall to it is it's devastating going the other way too. Unless you have a gun that's really heavy, say like one of the Henry lever action big boys, or you have something that's got a really good muzzle brake and port system on it, that thing kills on both ends. It's got a lot of recoil. The felt recoil from that 4570 government is up to 35 pounds. It averages somewhere in the range of 30 to 35, depending on the gun it's in and the weight you're shooting it through. It's got a pretty good thump to it. Some of the numbers from the 4570 government, it's 2,000 feet per second at the muzzle. That's scooting, guys, for a 325 grain bullet. That's getting down the pipe. It gives an energy at the muzzle of 2,886 foot-pounds. That'll knock an elephant down. That's serious energy. It does drop off fairly quickly. At 100 yards it's down to 2,049. At 200 yards at 1,441, and at 300 yards it drops down to 1,035. It drops off pretty quick, but most people aren't going to use a caliber such as a 4570 at anything past 200 yards. I mean, I don't think ethically that would be a good shot. And as a matter of fact, to be 100% honest, I love my 4570 Henry, but I don't love it out past 100 yards. I have to really feel good about myself. The wind conditions have to be right and everything, because even though that bullet's big and it'll buck some wind, it's also big, and wind will push on it harder than a smaller bullet. The Winchester Deer Season XP 250 grain is what I chose in the 450 Bushmaster. Now, it also has a little bit of recoil. However, it does have a hand up on the 4570, as this is a rimless case. The case is made just like a 308 or a 556. It's rimless. So therefore, this round can be used in AR uppers. So then you could shoot this round in a weapon that has a buffer system, and it greatly reduces the felt recoil. Now, if you're going to use it in a bolt action, and they make them that you can, or maybe a single shot, then you're going to have the feel of true recoil from this round, and it's not a lot below what 4570 is, but it's in that comfortable range. It's somewhere between 23 to 26 foot-pounds, depending on the gun you're going to shoot it through, the weight of that gun and how it's set up. But like I said, if you shoot it in an AR platform, You can get optics to go on it. All the uppers are going to have rail systems, so you can use good scopes, good red dots, whatever you're going to use. And it's going to be buffered down really well by the recoil reduction buffer that's in the AR platform. What you don't get is in any gun that you can put the 4570 government in. To the best of my knowledge, there's not an AR platform upper that can deal with the 4570, and more than likely they probably never will be, not only because you'd have to try to deal with that rimmed cartridge, but you would also have to try to deal with an enormous amount of recoil on a standard AR platform, and without changing your buffer spring and your buffer and things like that and your bolt carrier group, I don't think you'd ever be able to handle 4570 if somebody ever tries. Somebody probably someday will try to come up with it, but I don't think it'd be a good idea. But the energy out of the Winchester Deer Season XP, it's a 250 grain bullet. It's traveling 2,200 feet per second at the muzzle. So that's actually 200 feet per second faster at the muzzle than the 4570. It's simply because it's a lighter bullet. You can push it faster than you can a 4570 and still control it. The energy at the muzzle is 2,686 foot-pounds. It's 200 foot-pounds less at the muzzle than the 4570 because of the bullet weight. There's a huge difference in the bullet weight. At 100 yards, it's at 1867 versus the 4570 at 2049. So we're still kind of hanging right in there, that same ballpark. Then at 200 yards, it's 1,272, and the 4570 drops off to 1,441. So there's still, you're staying 150 to 200 foot-pounds of energy within each other, even still at 200 yards. But now here's the thing, at 300 yards, this is something that I looked at for a long time, and I thought, man, that's a huge drop in energy at 300 yards. With the Winchester XP, it drops down to 873 feet. Now that's still plenty of energy to kill pretty much anything big game in North America. I mean, if it's going to be all about bullet placement, of course, it's most of the time it always is. But anything that you're going to put the bullet in the right spot, the shot's going to be made in the right location on the animal, that's going to put it down. The 4570 is still at 1,035 feet. That's not great at 300 yards, but this is the thing you can't really look at seriously. 4570 and a 450 Bushmaster are not 300-yard calibers. They are guns made to stay inside that 200-yard range. Okay, the thing I want us to look at now is trajectories. Okay, now trajectories is extraordinarily important if you're going to be the person that's going to try to get out past 150 yards with either one of these rifles. Unless you've got these guns sighted in real well at those ranges, I suggest you don't do it. Unless you've shot these guns and got used to them, I suggest you don't do it. But let's take a look at the trajectories. Now, it's surprising to me that at the muzzle, if you zero the 4570 at 1.5 inches high at the muzzle, that's where it's going to come off at, is if you bring it off 1.5 inches high at the muzzle. At 100 yards, you're going to drop 5.5 inches. So it's 5.5 inches that you're going to get a drop at 100 yards. That's just at 100 yards. Now with the 450 Bushmaster, zeroed at the muzzle, just flat at the muzzle, you're going to still be flat at 100 yards. Where your gun's going to hit at the muzzle, it's going to hit at 100 yards. You're not going to lose any bullet drop. Now, here's the thing though, at 200 yards with that 450 Bushmaster, you're going to drop 9 inches at 200 yards. Okay, that's a considerable drop just going out 200 yards. 200 yards is considered a normal deer distance shot for just about anybody. If you're going to deer hunt with a gun, 200 yards is most people's wall. But a 9-inch bullet drop at 200 yards, that's something that you have to mentally compensate for that that if you ain't got your gun set up to shoot that, then you got to remember, I got to come up 9 inches or I'm not going to hit where I want to go. Okay, well, at the 45-70, that was zeroed at 1.5 inches. I'm sorry, 1.5 inches low, not 1.5 inches high. 1.5 inches low at the muzzle. You're dead on at 200 yards. The velocity shows that round hitting zeroed at 200 yards. Okay, and that is very interesting to me because you're carrying a bullet here in this 45-70 that is 100 grain or 75 grains heavier than the one in the 450 Bushmaster. But again, the trade-off to that is you got all that power pushing that big bullet down range is because that thump of that 45-70 when you shoot it. Now at 300 yards, the 45-70 drops 23 inches. At 300 yards, that's not a great big drop. If I'm not mistaken, a 308 drops at around 17 inches at 300 yards. I'd have to look into that. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm wanting to think that's what it was. So that's not a great big drop. But on the 450 Bushmaster, it drops 33.5 inches. That's a big drop to me. And like I said, again, with either one of these guns, that should register in your mind. 300 yards is not where I need to shoot this rifle. It's not what it's made for. It's too far of a drop, too much of a drop. Most people are not good enough shooters to compensate for a 23 or a 33-inch drop at 300 yards, especially if the animal's moving at all, even if it's just walking. That's shooting skill has to be high. You have to understand what you're doing. You have to understand the wind, because that's just not, to me, an ethical shot. If y'all want to give me grief over that, give it to me. I don't care. But I'm just telling you, that's how I feel. You shoot what you want to shoot. That's up to you. I know what I do, and that's not what I do. So what I look at in these two guns as being what would tell me which one of these that I want to have. And I've got them both. But if I was going to go out in search of one of these guns to buy to put in my collection as a hunting gun, to hunt bear, to hunt boar, to hunt deer, even to hunt varmints, to kill groundhogs and stuff like that, I'm going to stay with the 450 Bushmaster. And here's why. 2 reasons. The cost of the weapons that you can run the 450 Bushmaster through are way lower than the stuff you're finding nowadays you can shoot the 45-70 through. Not a lot of folks want to go out and put $1,000 into a lever action gun that they're going to take into the woods and drag over fences and have in the back of the truck and stuff like that, using it like a deer rifle. They're not going to want to do that. When you can go pick up a fairly decent rifle chambered in 450 Bushmaster for half that. Not to say that those expensive rifles for a 45-70 are the only ones that you can get. It's not. You can find some cheaper bolt action or single shot 45-70 rifles. But to get up into the quality of a rifle, let me just show you one. To get up in the quality of a rifle like this one, that's chambered in 45-70, you're going to be in the neighborhood of $1,000. And everybody, when they get a 45-70, simply because it's the gun was built around that platform, everybody wants a lever gun. Okay, well, if you're going to be making shots out past 100 yards, especially, the lever gun needs to stay in the gun cabinet. Just my opinion. Again, I'm just saying this is what I do, and that's why with the 450 Bushmaster, you can buy some really good, like this Savage Hunter XP chambered in 450 Bushmaster. you can get out to those farther ranges and get more accuracy and more use out of the ammo than if you're going to be running a short-barreled lever action rifle. Now with the Henrys, with the heavy barrel, the octagon barrel, the big boy, I know they got the full-size barrel on those, but most guys nowadays are opting for the Marlin because it's a little cheaper. And I'll just be honest, man, I've shot 3 of those Marlins in 45-70. They'll murder you. I mean, the recoil on those things are crazy. Whereas the recoil on the 450 Bushmaster in a bolt action, it's feelable. You know, I mean, you know you've shot it, but you can shoot it several times and not walk back to the truck, you know, with one shoulder hanging down. But if you got it in an AR platform, I don't own one in an AR platform. That's next on my list to buy an upper for it. But I have shot one that was in an AR platform with the 450 Bushmaster. That thing's lovely. You could do a little bit more, get a little bit stronger buffer spring and put in one than the standard buffer spring, because the uppers come with a heavier bolt group. That thing's great, man. I mean, it's awesome. You can stay on target with it good. It does got some felt recoil, but it ain't nothing like shooting a bolt action or single shot. It's way a lot less. So if I'm going to pick one of the two, and again, I own them both, I encourage everybody to buy one of each because it's just something you should have. But if I was going to pick one as a hunting rifle, I think I would stay with the 450. Simply because I can get it in an AR platform, or I can get it in some really good bolt action rifles. We got some really good velocities out to what I think are the limits of this rifle, 200 yards. It's only a couple hundred feet per second different between 45-70 than would be the 450 Bushmaster, and I'm getting 25% less recoil. 25% less. And if you put it in AR, it's probably more like 40% less. And like I said, the availability of different firearms and different types of actions that you can get with it, get with the 450 Bushmaster. And also the cost of ammo. If you buy good 45-70 ammo today, it's going to run you about 60 bucks a box. If you buy the good stuff, the lever Revolution, this costs $46. And I don't know if the price sticker's still on this. And the Bushmaster, I got it for $42.99, so $43. It's not a whole lot of difference, but these two ammunitions are about equal in the way they're built. Okay, they are both pretty much hunting rounds. The lever Revolution and the deer season are both specifically designed for hunting rounds. That's why I kind of picked both of them to be close to being the same, that they were both ballistic tipped. They were not too far off in bullet grain weight and density. They had a partial copper jacket. I don't have anything against 45-70. I love my Henry. You guys have saw it on the channel. That thing is devastating, and it will flat put a thump on a deer, and I have killed deer with it. It's to me for what you're trying to get. I understand a lot of folks out up north especially live in states where you got to have a straight wall case to deer hunt. I would probably lean more toward the 450 Bushmaster, simply because a lot of those states where you have to have a straight wall case to deer hunt, there are situations you may get into where you come upon a bear and you may need to defend yourself, and I wouldn't want to try to stop a bear with a 350 Legend. You know, real good bullet placement might, but with one of these 450 Bushmasters or 45-70, you hit him pretty much anywhere, you're going to at least slow him down enough so you can put one more in him. And it's a lot of different things. You just got to think, guys, about what you like best. This is just what I like. A lot of people may not like what I like, and that's fine, y'all. You do you, I'll do me. I'm just telling you the numbers that I come up. This is hard factual data. You can look it up on Winchester's site for their ammo, or you can look it up on Hornady's site for their ammo. The numbers don't lie. It's all right there. And when looking at these two rifles, again, if I'm going to the deer woods, I'm taking the Savage, because to me it's more versatile as a hunting rifle. Would I trade this rifle to my Henry Big Boy? Oh no. Oh no. But I'll keep this one for what I got to do out there. And I'll keep my big boy for when I want to pull something out of the gun safe and go to the range and enjoy a day of shooting something that's huge. Guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope it was educational. And I hope it gave you some insight on two of the straight wall case rifles that are on the market today that you might be about to make a decision on. This is the Fat Man. I'm gone.